It is the 18th of April 2021. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to UBC News Tonight. My name is Sharon. Kyomugisha, thank you so much for tuning in to watch UBC News Tonight. Today, we'll take a look at our top stories of the day. In our top stories of the day, President Museveni tells NRM members of parliament to be change agents. Still to come, Nabakoba urges the public to embrace COVID-19 vaccination. In more news, Bukedi Bishop says the church is being stripped of its land. Defections from opposition to the NRM on the increase in Elgon region. Well, a warm welcome once again. Thank you so much for tuning in to watch UBC News Tonight. In our top stories of the day, President Yoweri Museveni, who is also the national chairman of the NRM party, has said that leaders are agents of change even if they're not technocrats. The president was delivering a lecture to the NRM members of parliament-elect on day 2 of the politician orientation retreat at the National Leadership Institute, Chankwanzi. The retreat was also attended by the First Lady and the Premier, Dr. Hakana Rugunda, and the SEC, among others.
Socio-economically transform an underdeveloped society, underdeveloped economy, to a medium income society and eventually to a modern society, modern economy, modern society. This is the question. So the way to do it is transform the 4 sectors. You transform all the activities, as many of the activities in the 4 sectors as possible. What are the four sectors? Agriculture, industry, services, ICT. And there are different activities there. And each activity, you look at it, you enter into it because you want to produce a product which is economically profitable and has got a market within Uganda or within the region or internationally. So that so many things can be done so that we get maximum value out of them, but they should only be done if they can be profitable and have a market either within Uganda or within the region or internationally. This socio-economic transformation needs devoted people. When I was sensitizing these people, I was only 21 years old, 1966, end of the year. And these were old men in their 50s, 60s. I was with one of my colleagues talking to these people about change. This one, I don't want to wait for the technocrats. Those technocrats are not reformers. They are just implementers. The reformers are yourselves, like I was. We, the young people, were the reformers.
To come, Your Excellency.
In more news, President Yoweri Museveni, President Yoweri Museveni, who is also the national chairman of the National Resistance Movement Party, has called on NRM leaders to love the people they serve, be examples, be humble, and to always be good examples in their communities. The President was attending Sunday service with the NRM members of Parliament-elect who were attending a two-week politician orientation retreat at the National Leadership Institute in Changkwanzi. The Sunday service, which was also attended by the First Lady Mrs. Janet Museveni, religious leaders from the Christian and Muslim faiths, took place in the Nali compound.
I'm happy to see that our religious people also maybe copied our example, because we had religious wars here. People were killing here in Uganda. They were killing one another for religion, for God, that they were killing one another on behalf of God. Even in other countries, this is the problem in the Middle East, in Lebanon, in Iraq, in Syria, in Yemen. People are dying because of this intoxication with the misinterpreted religious positions. So we are very happy that when we came in, the religious leaders listened to us. They formed the Interreligious Council. They have got their Interreligious Council. And even when I'm going around, you find that all the groups come. Even in the church, you find Muslims sitting in the church there with their kofira. Even when it is we are installing a bishop, we are installing, they come. They come as guests of honor. So therefore, for today, I'm very happy. The message for the leaders: serve, love the people you serve, and be humble, and be an example, and then the religious unity. So I thank God for all this.
Do not be corrupted. Do the right thing, God will reward you. If God doesn't reward his own, how would a pastor like me come on board as a member of parliament? That is God. Because I didn't want, but the people came and said, no, we want you in parliament. We shall even take you unopposed. You are all aware, I came unopposed in a district which is not easy. Yes, please, it's very hard to come from Sembaule district, Your Excellency. That is a reward that comes from God and his own, because I've been serving him diligently.
In more news, private sector players have been asked to champion awareness creation aimed at boosting COVID-19 vaccination exercise. While addressing the media in Kampala, the Minister for ICT and National Guidance, Judith Nabakoba, urged the public to continue observing SOPs to ensure continued safety.
The Minister for Information and National Guidance, Judith Nabakoba, wants the public to continue observing COVID-19 SOPs and also to embrace vaccination against COVID-19.
If you take into considerations all other categories such as medical people, security, teachers, social worker, the high-risk groups, the number might grow up to 21 million. However, less than 10% have shown up for the vaccination ever since the exercise started a month ago. His Excellency the President made it very clear that we have to vaccinate up to 80% of the risk categories before opening up fully as a country.
Nabakoba maintains that relaxation and revision of the COVID-19 SOPs will depend on the vaccination compliance.
Of late, so many people have been calling upon the government to suspend the curfew hours. However, we now know that suspension of the curfew is going to depend on how quickly we show up for vaccination. I therefore call upon all those in the categories defined by government to show up and get vaccinated.
As to whether some of the COVID-19 SOPs have turned political, Nabakoba refers to such allegations as cheap talk.
Curfew is not political. I told you from the word go that curfew helps us as government to implement the SOPs, because a lot happens at night, and we believe it can be very difficult, all a nightmare, for the SOPs to be enforced fully. So that's why we are saying if we all go for the vaccination, then it will enable government to remove most of those restrictions.
Government is now drumming up the private sector to champion the vaccination awareness campaign across the country.
The job of mobilizing and educating the people about vaccination should not be left alone to governments. All private sector players, including artists, religious leaders, all the different categories, they need to come out now and use their spaces, calling upon the public to participate fully in the vaccination exercise.
Nabakoba says government will not be moved by what it terms as speculations about the reported US travel sanctions against government top officials. The minister says it will be until information goes through formal and diplomatic channels for satisfactory communication to be received. Robert Onyango, UBC News, Kampala.
In more stories, the Bishop of Bukedi Diocese, the Right Reverend Samuel Bogede Egesa, is concerned over continued encroachment of church land by grabbers across the sub-region. The bishop says if the matter is not handled urgently, several churches might collapse, calling upon church leaders to wake up on this land grabbing issue because the church is being stripped.
In the name of God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
The Bishop of Bukedi Diocese, the Right Reverend Samuel Bogele Egesa, is concerned over continued encroachment of land by grabbers across the sub-region. The bishop says if the matter is not handled urgently, several churches might collapse, calling upon church leaders to wake up on this land grabbing issue before the church is stripped.
This land we have, what people do is to front the issue of sale. We don't sell church land, but we can lease it. Lease this part, develop this one.
The bishop was addressing hundreds of Christians during installation of new canons at St. Peter's Cathedral, Tororo. Those installed as canons include Joshua Irota, Barnabas Muniala, Sam Rogers Wairagala, Joseph Abre Ofono Amonya, Joseph Kiria, and Kezia Dorothy Otim. According to the bishop, rampant church land grabbing by a section of the population is hindering church development.
As a diocese, I have a living example in a place called Mulanda in this diocese. People grabbed all the land and they left just like a small thing. So when we wanted to divide that place into another archdeaconry, we were forced to take the headquarters to Pajwenda, which had just started, and we couldn't put it in Mulanda because those people had taken all the land there. So it is actually hampering the development of the church in many ways. But you also remember, schools are built on church land. Health units and hospitals are built on church land. Now when they take the church land, it means they are hindering, also hampering with the development, not only for the church, but even for the country.
To the newly installed canons, church land grabbing is expected to be their main focus.
There was laxity in ensuring that this land is titled and that the appropriate procedures are taken to ensure that it is properly delineated. What we are doing currently in the diocese is to ensure that all land is surveyed, all church land is surveyed and is properly titled as per the Constitution of the Church of Uganda.
Recently, we also the COVID times, how our churches dwindled in terms of collections, and our clergy were quite desperate. And yet we have a lot of land which we can use profitably and help our churches to be self-sustaining. So we want to have this land surveyed, demarcated, obtain land titles, and be able to establish income-generating projects.
Ivan Juko, reporting from Tororo District.
National Resistance Movement Party Machindia East losers in the recent elections are consulting on what could have led to their loss. They, however, partly attribute their failure to poor service delivery to the public.
Some of the National Resistance Party losers in the recent general elections are sole, searching on what could have led to their loss. The seemingly upset losers are wondering as to what could have led to their loss, though they thought they were popular. The NRM chairperson Machindia East recently hosted a meeting of losers to discuss the way forward after their dismal performance in the recent elections. Those who contested for posts of councillor and member of parliament on NRM tickets met in Muyenga to discuss the way forward. They attribute the dismal performance to poor service delivery, infights and wrangles within the party, among other issues.
Abakulembeze batukulembera mu bitundu byaffe ebyenjawulo mu division n'efe Makindye tebatugasseeko balina mutima gwa kunoonya nsimbi ng'omukulembeze abadde abayise.
Abakulembeze abamu bakwatagana n'ebitongole ebikuuma ddembe mu kukwatagana nabyo ne babeera nga babuwa amawulire amakyamu ne babeera nga baleeta obuzibu nga baleeta ebintu ebikosa ekyalo ne bakwata abantu abasinga.
Tugenda kutuusa ndowooza zaffe. The thinking, the mentalities, the way we look at one another, we are wasting time.
Machindia East Wabigalo Ward Councillor Nuhu Kalisa says the poor infrastructures in the division could have caused the NRM councillors' poor performance in the elections.
Here, if you go there in Machindia West, you see all the roads is already constructed. There's already constructed, even drainages, and if you go in garbage management, all the beneficiaries of garbage, they are in Machindia West. For us, we are suffering. We don't have KCCA trucks in Machindia East.
Elijah Obusinje explains the issues regarding his performance and appealed for an induction for party members.
Time to mobilize. We have not given time to campaign. You could not mobilize more than 20 people. Police was chasing everybody here and there. Of course, it is like a political cause. Because some of our cadres don't know what they are supposed to do. Others are holding offices, but they are not performing.
The NRM meeting also appealed for a split of Machindia East into other administrative units for better service delivery. The NRM chairperson Muyenga Bokasa Yasino Mari says this will ease allocation of resources.
The aim is to have a separate NRM district of Machindia East. Is that having one such big district under a leadership of one chairman who is in Machindia West was a challenge. Now, Machindia West is really developing. They are working on the roads, they are working on drainages, they have more government intervention, they have 12 parishes. For us, we are 8, so they get more in terms of NADS, in terms of other programs. The mayor is from there, the chairman NRM is from there, all the leadership is there.
Ivan Juko, reporting from Machindia.
We'll take a short commercial break and we'll be back with business stories.
Wait.
No one should stop you from finishing what's yours. That's why MTN gives you data bundles that don't expire. Load MTN Freedom Bundles using My MTN app and enjoy the freedom to finish your data bundles. MTN.
Today tastes like a new tradition, like an old favorite. Tastes like all hands on deck and all eyes on the prize. Today tastes like a piece of the action. and it never tasted this good.
That's their way of stopping HIV. What about you?
Introducing Cleveland Hill Day and Boarding Primary School, located in Chebando, Chisalo-Salo, along Bukoto Roundabout, 2 kilometers from Kalere at the Northern Bypass on your way to Chisasi. This is a world-class standard school with the most qualified teachers that will turn your child into a world changer. We have a fully stocked library, a balanced diet for the children, a calm environment suitable for learning, and pocket-friendly school fees. Registration for P1 to P6 is ongoing, and second term is starting on 6th April 2021. Call us on 0774 950 277 or 0705 861 262 for more information. Cleveland Hill Day and Boarding Primary School. The Lord is my shepherd.
2020 was the year the tourism sector got disconnected. But this year, we reconnect. To leads, growth, to industry experts, to wider markets, to untapped potential. Be part of the first ever virtual Pearl of Africa Tourism Expo and engage with industry experts from around the world. Find out how you can grow your leads, put your tourism business back on the map, and a whole lot more. Sign up for free at www.poate.co.ug/register and reconnect with your world. The Pearl of Africa Tourism Expo runs from the 27th to the 29th of April 2021 and is proudly brought to you by Uganda Tourism Board.
Today tastes like a new tradition, like an old favorite. Tastes like all hands on deck and all eyes on the prize. Today tastes like a piece of the action. And it never tasted this good.
You're still watching UBC News Tonight. It is more than a year since COVID-19 pandemic befell the world, forcing nations to announce lockdowns that have since affected economies at almost all levels. One of the most hit sectors was the hotel industry, whose operations were paralyzed due to the introduction of the lockdowns. Our reporter, Edwin Nyachwara, got some time with Jaffa Azhar, the managing director of Farewell Hotel, who gave the insight of the experiences during the COVID-19 era and how they're managing the recovery process.
The impact of COVID-19 continues to be felt as most organizations and sectors strive to cope with the new normal era. The hospitality and entertainment industry was one of the sectors disrupted in the wake of COVID-19 and the subsequent introduction of lockdown cut off local and international travel. The managing director of Fairway Hotel, Jaffa Azhar, says the hospitality industry was not ready for the proportion of the impact exerted by COVID-19. He, however, hastened to add that it has been a learning experience on how to handle such disasters in future.
So first is being prepared. So when COVID first came, you heard rumors of it in December, January. It wasn't until February that it became a very mainstream problem and we realized that it would affect business. So being prepared and thinking ahead was one of the major reasons that we succeeded during the COVID time. Another thing is teamwork. It was amazing to see all of our staff and community around us come together and be prepared for this situation. Nobody complained, everyone was happy to put in the hours. So that teamwork is what really kept us afloat during COVID-19 time.
It is on record that most organizations laid off their workers in order to operate within a limited budget. But according to Jaffa, Fairway Hotel handled the situation differently.
We moved our staff into the hotel. Staff that were once waiters became construction workers. We were busy renovating the hotel to be prepared for the next, COVID wave that was coming. So a lot of our construction that was done in the COVID lockdown was to prepare us for this.
Java says that the welfare of the hotel staff is Fairway's priority, and this is exhibited by regular training offered to guarantee quality service delivery.
So we have a fantastic team. Our staff are really the heart of our hotel. And when we're training our staff, we train them to understand what hospitality is. So that warm Ugandan welcome that we're known for in this country, we try to engrave those values into our staff. So it doesn't matter if a staff is a sweeper, a waiter, or receptionist. For them, they are there to ensure that any guest that enters this premises is given a warm welcome and has a memorable experience.
You can find good food anywhere, you can find a good room anywhere. But what we have here, what we offer here is an experience. And not just any experience, but an experience that is unique, that is special, treatment that you can't find anywhere else. And that is the thing that sets Fairway apart from any other hotel in Kampala.
As the country recovers from the initial scare posed by COVID-19 pandemic, Fairway Hotel continues to emphasize standard operating procedures at all access points as a safety measure to the guests and staff.
One of the first things we're doing is putting a lot of importance on safety. So we've been working with the Ministry of Health to ensure that we have safeguarded against any issues. We've trained all of our staff. Every entry point has sanitizer, temperature gauges, and we do regular checks for our staff to ensure that everybody is safe. Another thing we have done is we've created a lot of packages. So weekend packages at our restaurant, the Asian Fusion, so people can come, feel safe, be with their family, and get good value. And thirdly, we've invested a lot on customer care and customer service. So upgrading the skills of our staff and our teams to ensure they serve our customers to the best of their ability.
It should be remembered that Fairway Hotel was once a residential house, hosted Pope Paul XVI in 1969, and was officially opened as a hotel in 1971 by His Highness the Aga Khan.
This property used to be a family home where my great-grandfather and grandfather lived, and slowly the home extended as the family grew. And then in 1969, when the first ever Pope's visit to Uganda, they had asked my grandfather to add some rooms into the house to accommodate some of the Pope's entourage. So at that time, he did construction, he added rooms. When the Pope came, the entourage, the cardinals, they stayed at the hotel. And after they left, he had this premises. He didn't know what to do with it, so he turned it into a hotel. And the reason it was named Fairway is because of the proximity from the golf course. Back in the day, if you look at Nakasero, there were very, very few buildings that were there. So this house looked like it was in the middle of the golf course, which is why it was called the Fairway Hotel.
Located along Yusufurure Road in the upscale lush of Green Nakasero area across the road from Golf Course, Fairway Hotel has ripped big from this spiritual leaders tour to register state progress in its operations. Fairway Hotel also offers hospitality management trainings annually as a way of giving back to the community.
We train probably over 100 people in a year, so it's almost impossible to retain everybody. But we do like to retain a few people from each batch, and we do recommend to other hotels and restaurants as well. But generally, when someone has trained with Fairway, they always give us very good feedback, and they generally get jobs quite quickly after as well.
Despite COVID-19 disruptions to the hospitality industry, Fairway Hotel stands out as the icon of serenity and now plans to extend its operations to Entebbe and other parts of the country.
So we feel that by starting with Entebbe, when people fly in, they'll have a base there. We'll have a base in Kampala. We'll have something in the safari park. And then we can start looking at other regions such as Hoima and Fort Portal.
Java says if organizations follow the standard operating procedures and the guidelines set by the government, COVID-19 will be a thing of the past, especially now that vaccines against the virus are being availed. The hospitality industry is now slowly recovering, especially with transport business back on its feet, with the tourism sector starting to pick up and the production sector fully operational. Edwin Yachwara, UBC News.
Well, thank you so much for watching UBC News tonight. My name is Sharon. Kyomugisha. Do join us again at 10 p.m. for more news coming your way, and have a good night.